Hey, everybody, it's Scott Hammond with my guest, Nancy Olsen. Hi, Nancy.
Hi, Scott.
How are you?
I'm doing really well, actually.
That's good. It's
Yeah.
foggy out. I'm going end of the week. I'm ready for a weekend.
Yeah. I was thinking we might get some sunshine today, but that didn't happen.
It's so weird. It's welcome to Humboldt.
Yep.
Hey, I like your reader glasses, by the way.
Oh, thanks. I like yours.
Yeah, I could see. So
It's a
I
good
want to
thing.
know the Nancy Olsen story, just kind of
Oh, Lord.
generally, and within a half hour. Just not. Go ahead and tell us where you're from, how you got here.
Oh, that's kind of a long story.
Go
It's
for
been a
it.
complicated path.
Yeah, join the journey, folks.
All right. You're ready for this?
Sure.
Let's see. I was born and raised in Springfield, Oregon. And except for 2 years in fifth and sixth grade, we lived in Gallup, New Mexico. And then we moved back to Springfield.
Wow.
Um, my senior year in high school, my dad got a job up in Calgary, Alberta. So I graduated early and went and lived in Calgary for most of a year before I went off to college.
Hmm.
Went to college,
Where'd you go?
George Fox University. It's in Newburgh near
Mhm.
Portland.
Good school, right?
Yeah, I felt like I got a really good education.
Is it
And
private?
it is a private school.
Wow.
Yeah. And I studied international studies.
Mhm.
Took a year break in there, but still went to community college. So this is kind of boring stuff, but it
It's
sets me up for the
part of
exciting
part of
things.
the journey.
So yeah, 2 or 3 weeks after high school or after college, I moved to the country of Haiti.
Wow.
Yeah, so there you go.
'Cause why not?
Surprise twist. Yeah, international studies, and I was
Mhm.
planning to go to France. That was my goal, and ended
Haiti.
up in Haiti instead.
Haiti, wow.
Yeah.
I have a son, our second born is graduate from, Pacific and International Studies.
Okay.
Went on to get
Great.
a master's at Davis, and
Nice.
anyway.
Nice. Yeah. So, in Haiti, I worked with a couple of different NGOs
Mhm.
and did fundraising, development,
In
marketing
Port-au-Prince right there,
in
or
Port-au-Prince.
Mhm.
Yeah, but traveled all over the country.
Wow.
And first worked for an organization called International Child Care. They have a focus on tuberculosis
Hmm.
and some other things, but they've expanded their mission since I've been there. Um, and they're still going strong. Really
Wow.
proud of the organization. They do good work.
Mhm.
Worked for World Concern for a bit, for a couple years, and then worked for USAID, which was incredibly interesting. I was running the Democracy Enhancement Project in the mid '90s,
Wow.
and if you know what was happening in Haiti in the mid '90s, the democratically elected president had fled the country, and the U.S. intervened
That's right.
and came in and restored him to power.
Hmm.
I have so many stories I could tell about that, but we won't go there.
Mhm.
But so I was working on their democracy enhancement project. So you
Hmm.
can imagine I was kind of front lines for a lot of human rights things and working with different political parties, US political parties, and
Wow.
as well as local political parties. And
Huh.
it was a fascinating
So right out of
time in my
college,
life.
you went into this hotbed of
Yeah.
third world craziness.
Yeah. So, and in the 8 years that I lived in Haiti, there were 13 different governments.
Whoa.
So, yeah, coups and
And poverty everywhere, right?
elections and yeah, incredible poverty.
Yeah.
It's the poorest country in the hemisphere. So, and
Wow.
has held that space for a very, very long time, unfortunately.
Is it still true?
Yes, it
Mhm.
is. Um, yeah, now their country is kind of rife with gang violence and
Mm.
such. So one of the things in the midst of all that, I married a Haitian doctor and had a
Mm.
couple kids.
Wow.
When I left Haiti, I left him, but
Mhm.
like I said, was there for about 8 years. So I still have family in Haiti,
Oh.
and in fact, my adopted son is getting married in a couple weeks. So
Oh.
wish I could be there, but
Yeah. Are they all in Haiti, the kids?
my kids, no, my kids are here in Humboldt.
Okay.
So yeah, they came back with me. Not my adopted son,
Mhm.
um, but my kids are here actually in Humboldt.
Mhm.
So
So your
that's
grandma?
I am not a grandma, not
Uh-huh.
yet. Maybe someday.
Yeah, your Aunt Nancy, though, you
I
told me
am
that.
definitely Aunt Nancy. I have lots of nephews and nieces,
Awesome.
some local, which is fun to see them.
Yeah.
So
So
But
how old are the kids that are here?
they're 29 and 32.
Wow.
So,
Uh-huh.
yeah, and I moved up here about 5 years ago. I
Mhm.
I will skip over a whole bunch of
No, I wanna hear the in between.
so,
Don't you stop there.
okay,
So where'd you go from Haiti?
from Haiti, I went up to Poulsbo, Washington, Little
Mhm.
Norway,
Mhm.
and, lived there for a number of years, and, from there, ended up moving to Sacramento, lived there for 8 or 9 years.
Mm.
While I was there, I, worked for a volunteer organization. I worked for United Way.
Mm.
And then I spent about 5 years in the governor's office under the
Wow.
Schwarzenegger administration.
Wow.
I worked for an office called California Volunteers and
Mhm.
was responsible for statewide civic engagement programs.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool. That was a turning point in my career for sure.
It just kinda begs the question. Tell us about Arnie. Did you get to hang out with Arnie much, or was he
Not so much
he would
occasionally.
probably come and visit, and
Yeah, I probably will be hunted down for saying this, but he is not 6'2".
he's not
Um,
he's he's 5 something, isn't he? He's pretty
like
short.
5'7", 5'8".
Yeah,
Yeah,
him and
I've
Stallone.
literally stood shoulder to shoulder with him.
Yeah, but he's as
Um,
wide as he is tall.
yeah, he
He's
is. He's
yeah,
pretty, pretty fit. But no, he was really nice every time I met him, and
nice.
just loved being governor and
Mhm,
took it seriously, and
mhm.
I think had a good time while he was doing it. So
What do you ever say about Arnie? He's a pretty remarkable guy coming from his background and training, and my son's a big fan. My son Mike, our youngest, is a weightlifter. He's the champ at
mm,
Health Sport. Can bench as much as Arnie by 435. He's huge,
wow,
and he has a big giant poster in his bedroom of Arnie when he was a younger man.
yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah. I'll be back. So, where'd you go from Sacramento?
From Sacramento, I was recruited for a job in Los Angeles.
Hmm.
Ran Volunteer LA for a few years, volunteer organization, placing volunteers with different nonprofits and such.
Mhm.
And then from there, I went actually to the Los Angeles Chamber.
Oh,
So that
wow.
was my first chamber
Is
gig.
that downtown?
It's downtown. Yeah, it's
Hmm.
the big chamber in the area.
Gotta be a big chamber. Is it like
It
a
is.
regional one like we would have in Arcata, where Arcata's the used to be it was the Welcome Center. I guess that's different.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
yeah, a lot of chambers have the visitor centers. Ours didn't. It
Mhm.
was really focused on um, a number of different things. The
Mm.
My role there was I ran the Center for Leadership,
Mm.
and I ran different programs to support leadership development and community engagement
Mm.
for a wide variety of people from different sectors. So, like Leadership LA, Leadership Southern California, and then we had a statewide version of that program as well.
Mhm.
So that was really fun and fulfilling work.
Hmm.
And then I got burned out on LA.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's easy to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Last time we were there, we got to see the Who, Hollywood
Oh
Bowl,
my gosh.
and the next day we got to see the Getty Museum, which is
Hmm.
mind blowing
It
and
is.
really cool. And the third day we were riding on the boardwalk between Hermosa and Redondo and
Yep.
all that area, and went up to
Beautiful.
Marina Del Rey. And then my father-in-law got sick 2 weeks later and died 6 weeks later. Who we hung
Wow.
out with. We who knew, right?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
it's wonderful you could be with
it
him.
was really cool. It was LA's. I like, yeah, except for the freeways.
I spent many, many, many hours on the freeways. My commute to the chamber was an hour and 15 minutes
Wow,
each way.
that should have been
So,
10, 15 minutes without
yeah.
traffic.
Yeah, it was, I think 11 or 12 miles.
I think if I could live it like in Rolling Hills or Palos Verdes and just never go on the highway and live over on the beach, it'd probably be
Yeah.
livable.
Yeah, idyllic.
Yeah,
So I
S-
did not.
yeah.
I
Right.
was in the heart of it.
You had to commute. So tell us the leadership thing. What's the leadership program about?
um, the one in LA
Yeah,
or
the one that you had it.
yeah. Well, we're launching, or we have launched a version of that up here called Leadership Redwood Coast.
Good segue.
So, well, let me, um, hmm,
We'll come back.
I can tell
Let's
you.
put a pin
We'll put
because I want to
put
ask
a
you
pin
about
in
that.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'll
absolutely.
specifically. Yeah.
I'm very passionate about it and super excited
Oh,
about
you've
it.
talked about it already.
So yeah,
I heard you talk.
yeah. Um, so from LA, y'all are getting my my life story. It's
It's
crazy.
good.
From LA, I have a sister and brother-in-law and their family who have
Mhm.
lived in Humboldt in Eureka for 30 some years. So
Okay.
I'd been back and forth to Eureka for, over the decades,
A connection
and with
here.
my
Yeah.
kids. Yeah, absolutely. And when I was looking to leave LA, my daughter and I took a road trip from LA all the way up to Sequim, Washington,
Wow.
which people may not know. It's one of the furthest west points of the north and west points of the continental US.
Right.
Had some friends who were living there at the time. And I just had in my mind, where would I want to retire?
Mm.
And by the end of the trip, it was, where do I just want to move
Mhm.
and then work and retire? So, because I didn't want to retire in LA. Um, because I still had, 15 years or so left on my career.
Mhm.
I thought about it for about a year and a half, actually, and before I actually made the move.
Mm.
So, um, my first job here, well, I moved here without a job,
Wow.
lived on savings and some consulting. So for my first few months here,
Wow.
so I wanted to be in Humboldt. I didn't move here for
Real
a job.
bad. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I can do this. And then I got the job that I wanted at Cal Poly,
Mhm.
doing professional development out of their HR department, so professional development for their employees, and did that for 3 years and some.
Sounds like a really good
And
gig.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was really interesting. A lot of it was during COVID though, so it was tough
Mm.
doing a lot of the classes I taught were over Zoom.
Mhm.
But then was approached about when Donna passed.
Mhm.
I was approached for to apply for her job. Because I have chamber experience, I have a lot of
Mhm.
fundraising experience. I've worked with businesses in
Right.
a lot of different contexts, not just through the chamber. And so I was like, thought about, I actually gave it a lot of thought,
Mhm.
um, and decided to go for it. And lo and behold, here I am, the
And
CEO at the Greater Eureka Chamber of
you got the
Commerce.
golden ticket.
There you are. So there you that's my life story.
That's
Don't ask me
Eureka,
anything else.
California Chamber of Commerce.
That's right.
That's awesome. No, Chamber's like 100 and some odd years. It's pretty old, right?
Yeah, it's like 130 some years old.
That's a pretty old chamber in
Yeah.
California.
It was one of the first in California.
Yeah, and it's got a great success story. It
Mhm.
just seems like it's always been ever since I've been here for 42 years, it's always been a prominent, thing,
Yeah, I think chambers
going
of
thing.
commerce are often very influential institutions in their
Let's talk
communities.
about that. So
Sure.
why are chambers important in America, in
Hmm.
any country or city, town?
So, for those who don't know, a chamber of commerce, number one, is not part of government. It's a private nonprofit
Mhm.
organization. That's a question I get asked a lot. Um, and we are a membership organization, and specifically for businesses, but we do have some members
Mhm.
who are nonprofits and a couple of government entities that are members, educational institutions,
Sure.
and such. And the primary purpose of chambers is to bring businesses and others together to promote their businesses, to identify what some barriers may be to business success,
Mhm.
and advocate for change, and take an active role in that. Um, to help promote businesses and that type of
Mhm.
thing. So that's really bottom line chamber stuff.
Right.
But what we are doing,
What are you guys doing?
we're doing more things.
Tell us more. What are you doing?
um, gosh,
You're doing a lot of things. I've heard several things, but
yeah, yeah,
you wanna go to the
absolutely.
leadership thing now, or do you wanna
We can go. Well, Leadership Redwood Coast
Mhm.
is not currently a program of the chamber.
Mhm.
Um, it's housed at AEDC. I was actually consulting on that
Mm.
project
Mhm.
before I took the job last summer with the chamber, and is something that I wanted to do up here and just
Mm.
was kind of waiting for time and place and if there was a need for it and such. So partnering with Susan Seaman, who was then the mayor,
Mhm.
and Allie Jones from Illuminated Marketing. But Leadership Redwood Coast it's a really groovy program. It is we launched it in the first cohort in March,
Mhm.
and we have 25 people in that cohort.
Wow.
And in addition to doing leadership programming, building leadership skills and such, we travel all over the region that we're serving, which is Humboldt Del Norte and
Mhm.
adjacent tribal lands.
Mhm.
So we've been so far, of course, to Eureka. We've been to Soham, had some shed a lot of tears in Soham when we were meeting with folks there because of the economic downturn there.
Mm.
Spent a couple days in Del Norte, met with a lot of business leaders there and community leaders, had some cultural experiences. It was really cool. Spent some
Mhm.
time with the Yurok tribe.
Oh,
Um, and let me see, last time we went from Blue Lake to Corbell to the airport to Oric.
wow.
And we spent the afternoon in Oric talking with community leaders there about what life is like in Oric and what their needs are.
Little
So
tiny
that was
Oric, yeah.
yeah, pretty interesting. So
Yeah.
our folks are getting a pretty good taste of the region
Mhm.
and not just the big population
Right.
centers. That's next. Our final session
It's
is
not
in
just
July, but
Fortuna, Arcata, Eureka. You
yeah,
can't leave that.
so
No.
but that'll be more of our
Mhm.
final session will be focused on, some of the bigger systemic kind of things,
Mhm.
talking about offshore wind, talking about education,
Wow.
healthcare, that type of thing, kind of based in the bigger population centers, like I said.
So the cohort, the 25 people, what's the demographic like? Is it I'm assuming primarily young, but that'd be an assumption on my part. Is it just a real mix of people that are just wanting to become leaders or augment their leadership?
Typically, these programs target emerging leaders, so
Mhm.
people who may be on kind of the precipice of leadership
Mhm.
or have leadership aspirations.
Mm.
And although we do have some folks who are established leaders as well.
Mhm.
So, but mostly more folks who are in the emerging leadership kind of category from all different walks of life, from different
Mhm.
businesses, from cities and educational institutions like Cal Poly
Mm.
and College of the Redwoods, a couple of nonprofits, people who are involved in, somebody owns a fishing boat,
Mm. Okay.
and somebody who works in agriculture, and so really a wide gamut of
So
folks.
is it your program now that's chamber based?
It is,
Or is it
it's
kind of
it's currently housed with AEDC,
Mhm.
um, but it is going to move over to our new affiliate organization, which is the Redwood Coast Chamber Foundation that we are in the process of
Oh, wow.
establishing.
Wow.
So that's one of the big things that we've done since I've been there. My
Mhm.
first board meeting, I said, "Hey, let's start a foundation,"
Mhm.
and
Wow. Wow, yeah.
and the board went for it, and so we're in formation at this point.
Mm.
And once we're completely up and running as a foundation, that the Leadership Redwood Coast will move over to our foundation, so it'll
Okay.
be our program.
So will it be housed in the chamber geographically?
Yes, yeah.
Gotcha.
So it'd be shared space.
So when do you graduate all these people?
When do I graduate them?
Or when do they graduate?
When do they graduate? Yeah, I feel like I'm graduating them. Um, July 14th
Wow.
at Sequoia Conference Center.
Neat.
So, yeah,
So
it's
how big can it be next time?
we'll cap it at 30.
Mhm.
So, but this has been a fantastic cohort.
Wow.
It's such a privilege to get to hang out with so many different people that I might
Mhm.
not have otherwise met, and to get to know folks that I already knew because, of course, it's Humboldt and everybody knows everybody.
Everybody knows everybody. 7 layers of Humboldt. So I know Nick because
There you
somebody I
go.
knew knows Nick. 10 people.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then we have other programs going on
Mhm.
with, educational programs. The program that you're going to be part of, you're going to be teaching classes on public speaking. Everybody should take that. It is one of the most in demand things that we're doing. So, hope
Mhm.
we get a good turnout for you. But different professional development,
Mhm.
making sure that our members have deeper information on big issues
Hmm.
like offshore wind and what's the future of the cannabis industry, or housing, that what's happening
Hmm.
with the housing crisis,
Wow.
things like that. So
Homelessness, the whole nine.
yep.
Great
Yeah.
Redwood Trail's coming, right? You guys have?
Yeah, I'm not as involved in the Great Redwood
Mhm.
Trails. I was at the ribbon joining, I guess it was, rather
Mhm.
than a ribbon cutting
Hmm.
for the trail that's connecting Eureka and
Right.
Arcata. So, and that was fun, but we're not so involved in that
Yeah.
as others are, but
So
excited about the
it's
possibility.
going to be a big deal. Yeah.
It is for sure.
So I want to come back to Sohum and the tears in
Oh,
Is it like the cannabis industry
yeah.
imploding or just
Yeah.
not doing well?
Yeah. So since legalization in California, the cannabis industry has grown in terms of corporate grows,
Hmm.
and because they can grow bigger and cheaper
Hmm.
than a lot of these smaller farmers, they're kind of saturating the market.
Right.
So literally a couple thousand farms have closed since
Oh.
then. People don't realize there have been thousands of farms in Humboldt
Hmm.
County. And so in terms of legal farms at this point, I think there's about 800 left.
Wow.
So,
How
and
many
they're,
were there at one time when they were permitted?
I don't know the answer to that.
There was
So,
more.
yeah, there was more for
Yeah.
sure, but they are just, they're closing.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's interesting because we taxed the crud out of those
Hmm.
guys and then if a tax is good, let's do some more. And um, yeah, that's a whole nother discussion for a whole bunch of opinions, but
For sure.
we're not going there today.
Okay.
Where would you like to tell me some more about the chamber? What else are you guys up to?
Um, well, I will say, one of the questions when we were preparing for this, you said, what's the state of Eureka businesses or businesses in this region?
Yeah. How
Um,
about an arc coming from before COVID, coming through COVID, and coming out? That might because I
yeah,
remember in the days of COVID walking from my office to the gym on the waterfront. It was like there were COVID, there was dispensaries, banks, and just a few businesses that were
yeah.
open. To go food. It
Hmm.
was just it was it was ghost town,
Yeah,
miserable and weird.
yeah.
But go ahead.
Well, we lost a number of businesses during COVID,
Yeah.
and which is really unfortunate. Um, some have come back, not very many of them.
Hmm.
Others that were just barely hanging on have found some new ways to rebuild.
Hmm.
And of course, we have some new businesses coming in. So,
Is our arc kind of typical for small town California or America that there was this loss and then regrouping and
um,
business closures and people that were
yeah,
going away?
yeah, absolutely,
Hmm.
very on trend with what was happening across
Hmm.
around the world, really.
Sure.
So, Humboldt is special, but not unique.
It's not immune to that. Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
think, yeah.
but everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. That's one of the things that I came to Humboldt for, is
Mhm.
I wanted to run into my friends at the grocery store.
Right.
And yeah.
We
So,
call it 7 layers of Kevin Bacon,
yeah.
Humboldt County.
Yep.
'Cause if you know somebody I know, then I know you, and we're good.
Yeah, it's not even 7. It's
Yes.
3,
Maybe.
maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. It's true.
Yeah. So yeah, so we're seeing, I will say, in terms of chamber membership, that's, one gauge for us. It's remained really strong.
Hmm.
I'm kind of surprised when we were looking at our numbers
Hmm.
just recently, that our membership numbers have held pretty steady
Mhm.
through COVID, and we have a lot of people joining. We have a
Good.
pretty good steady stream of new members as
Mhm.
well, and lower drop off than the national average. So
Wow.
yeah, so we're losing fewer and gaining more.
Which
So
is really significant because we're not downtown Santa Rosa or
yeah,
Sacramento or, Marin, which has a bunch of money and a bunch of members, and
yeah,
so it's saying something. I think
yeah,
it's really good.
yep,
So let's talk a little bit about the future of well, let's stay in this present, but I want to head toward the future and seeing what you're building at the chamber, what you got kind of in mind, maybe if there's a sneak peek. But what do you see in the meantime as our significant challenges I know that you can speak for Eureka because you're here, but
Hmm.
maybe countywide, what are our challenges and opportunities as you see them?
Just in general terms.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, a challenge and opportunity is population growth.
Mm.
So our population has been pretty stagnant and a little bit on the decline in the last decade or so.
Hmm. Mm.
And we are poised with offshore wind, with the growth of Cal Poly, fish farm, and other businesses that may come in as related.
Mm.
The the broadband cable, or the not broadband, but the internet cable. I'm losing not using the right terms, but
Satellite internet, whatever they're
well,
doing. Yeah.
the one that's going across the ocean
Yeah.
that's anchored here.
Hmm.
So potential for data
Yeah.
warehousing and things like that here, um,
Which means jobs.
which means jobs.
Hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
think that we are poised to, through all that, and particularly with offshore wind,
Hmm.
to have, at least a couple thousand new good
Wow.
paying jobs,
Hmm.
both in terms of the trades
Hmm.
as well as for people who are, white collar workers as well,
Hmm.
engineers and
Love it.
folks. So I think we're really poised for growth and
Mm.
a big economic push forward in the next decade.
Yeah.
So bumpy road to get there, but
I hope medicine's in there too, that we get better general health
oh
care.
Lord, yeah. So we are, yeah.
Yeah.
We all know.
Medical desert.
Medical desert.
Medical
So
desert, folks. It's
yeah,
not 100%. There's some oasis. I had a shoulder done. He's
nice.
Dr. McGoldrick. We love you, man. He's great. And but yeah, hard to some people just go to Stanford or UCSF, and
Yeah,
no dig on who we have, but it's just rough.
yeah.
My
And
wife's a great example. It's taken her 3 months to get a really common test that could have been done
mhm,
really quickly, I think.
yeah.
But
Well, you wanted to go to this is an interesting segue to Sohum,
mm,
is you wanted to go back to
sure,
the
yeah,
tears and hardships of Sohum. One of the bright spots in Sohum is the Southern Humboldt, well, the hospital there
yeah,
and the health system there actually is more accessible than what we have
heard
in
that.
Eureka. And met with the while we were there, we met with the CEO of their hospital, which is like the third smallest in California, but they are building a new hospital.
Hmm.
Um,
I'm
and
trying to
you
think of
can
the
get,
name of it. It's a guy's name. Yeah, it's
yeah,
maybe Nick will
it'll
look
come
that
to
up.
me. Yeah.
It's Harry
It's not, I don't think it's Harry, but
Blackburn. Anyway, it'll come.
yeah.
Whatever. So
Um,
they're actually building a new facility.
they're building a new facility that's closer, kind of just outside Garberville,
Oh wow.
if I remember correctly. And the current facility will be turned into some expanded nursing care
Hmm.
facility. So they've got some of that there, and
Hmm.
they'll just use the whole facility for that. But you can get an X-ray on the same day. You can get other tests like that
Yeah.
within a day or two.
Wow.
My daughter goes to the dentist up there because she can get appointments,
Yeah,
and
you get in.
yeah.
I have a son
So
going to Ukiah tomorrow, which is 3 hours. And why? Because Dr. X works out of Ukiah.
yeah,
Yeah. So, yeah. It's funny.
so
It's funny you could bemoan that, and yet how are we going to change it?
yeah.
And, how do we exact change? Gerald
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 Phelps.
Phelps.
There
He
you
must have been a
go.
doctor there or somebody
Yeah,
famous.
he was,
Yeah.
and
That's
yeah.
a bright
So
spot.
that's a bright spot.
Ben Bowen's nice.
And Bowen's nice, it's beautiful.
Really
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. So there's and the natural beauty there
Oh,
and,
yeah.
all of that is really incredible.
All the redwoods and the trails
Yeah.
and
So,
river.
there were a couple of things that I would share from our experiences in Sohum, that the cannabis industry didn't just, the collapse of the cannabis industry didn't just destroy their economy, it destroyed their culture.
Hmm.
It destroyed so much of their community,
Mhm.
these things that were dependent on, kind of the cash flow.
Mhm.
And one of the things that one of the community leaders there shared with us was they never depended on the county government. That's their governing body is Humboldt County, government.
Hmm.
And they never depended on them because they had enough cash to do what they needed to do and kind
And
of were a little bit more self-sufficient is what they told me.
not as much. Yeah.
Yeah, but they said now they are kind of a little bit humbled and have to go hand in hand
Mm.
and ask for support because they're struggling so
Yeah.
much. But and several of the 20 or so people we talked to while we were there, I would say at least 4 or 5 of them were in tears as they were talking
Wow.
because it's just a situation of incredible collective trauma.
Mm. I bet.
It's really it was our cohort, our Leadership Redwood Coast participants were just touched, moved,
Mm.
distraught in some
Hmm.
ways
Hmm.
by what they saw in Southern Humboldt.
Real people really hurting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No matter where it is, it hurts. Yeah.
Yep.
So how do you personally give back to Humboldt County
Hmm.
when you're being Nancy, maybe not on the job,
Nancy, maybe not on the job.
or are you always on the job?
There's a
Some
lot
of
of
us,
that. There's
some
a
of
lot
us
of that.
are a
So,
lot of that.
yeah. I mean, I do have an organization that I'm involved with and sit on a couple committees with them.
Hmm.
I I have always worked in and around the nonprofit scene
Hmm.
because I'm a little bit of a workaholic,
Hmm.
and it's great that I can do good through my work.
Hmm.
So there's a lot of that. I've been asked to be on some boards and commissions and things like that, and
Sure.
I've declined up till now.
Hmm.
So I'm still, I'm not quite a year into my
Yeah.
the work here at the chamber and now the foundation. So I've the last year especially I've focused in on that work because that's
Yeah.
community good work too.
The
So
boards are going to be there. They're not going anywhere.
yeah,
And they'll still ask
yeah,
because you're
exactly.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I got asked to be on a board today. Weird.
There you go.
Yeah.
What a surprise.
It's
Mr. Community.
quarterly. I like that. I go quarterly. I could probably do that.
Yeah.
Um, so 3 things in your life that you're proud of.
Hmm. I am proud of the fact that throughout my career, I've kind of followed my heart
Hmm.
and I've had a really interesting career. Um, and have taken pay cuts a few times to
Mhm.
be able to do what I wanted to do. But it's always been around some kind of community good,
Wow.
which is really what drives me. So, little story about me. When I was a 7-year-old
Please.
girl, I'm the youngest of 5, and I was a little 7-year-old girl in our house in Mohawk Valley, Springfield, Oregon,
Mm.
and I remember being in the hallway of the house just as such a random memory and thinking, "I don't need to be rich, I don't need to be famous, but I wanna do some good."
Wow.
And that's really carried that theme has carried through my life. So
So you had
I'm
this epiphany moment.
yeah,
Huh.
some people call me a pathological altruist, which has
Ah,
negative connotations, but, in some ways fits.
I like that.
Um, yeah, so that's one thing. Another thing, I love and adore my kids, and
Mhm.
I'm proud of them for being who they are. They were raised by a mom who said, "Pursue what you wanna do."
Mhm.
Um, so they've done that, and, they are their own people. So I that makes me proud,
Absolutely.
makes me happy.
Mhm.
And another thing, I would say this is a I have, so like I said, I'm one of 5. And, we do not all see eye to eye on a lot of things.
Really?
Oh,
Siblings?
what a surprise.
How could that be?
But we have a really close relationship.
Nice.
And, we get together a few times a
Mm.
year and, go on vacations together and
Mhm.
such. And even though we may see things, differently, have
Right.
different worldviews, um, we still have a lot of love for each other.
And connection.
Yeah. And I would hope that
Yeah.
I can live that in the world too, that even if it's somebody who I don't
Right.
see eye to eye with, that I can still feel that human connection with them.
Yeah. Quick story, I worked for a guy who was local hero, and he moved to Orange County sold the business, went away, and he commented one time, and it caught me off guard. He said, "Whereas we differ in Humboldt County, there's still a really cool connection with people."
Mm-hmm.
Um, I believe that's still true, very true,
Mm.
but I believe that's eroded nationally and internationally. But
Yeah.
there's the challenge to restore that connection because you want to believe in a flat Earth, go for it. You're still my friend.
Yeah.
Whatever you want to, does that really define you or the relationship? And I think the
Yeah.
answer is mostly no. And I like the fact you brought that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a pretty core value for me. And I see
Mhm.
it at work, even in my work at the chamber.
Mhm.
One of the things that really gave me pause, about this job is I knew it would be, I've never wanted to run for political office. I've been
Mm.
asked many times in many situations, and I've said, like, no way.
Mhm.
But I know that the chamber is like the next closest thing to being
It
in
is.
political
You're the
office.
mayor,
So
de facto
yeah,
mayor.
yeah.
Fix it.
Yeah, and it's just like advocate for this, advocate for that, or do this, and why haven't you fixed homelessness yet, Nancy? Somebody
Right.
posted on my personal Facebook page, why
Right.
haven't you fixed homelessness yet? I'm like,
Ryan Sundberg used to get that all the time.
yeah.
Ryan, why isn't it different? And one supervisor.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
like we haven't fixed it yet, but we're working on it.
Yeah.
I like that.
But when I was interviewing for this job, they asked me, how do you negotiate?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I said, I want to hear both sides. I want to be data based,
Hmm.
informed,
Mhm.
listen carefully to hear all perspectives, and then work to be, maybe a little bit of a facilitator to help groups that are, have disparate positions.
Mhm.
Find a middle ground that really is in the interest of the greater good.
Peacemaker.
Peacemaker, but not just creating peace, but
Mhm.
creating progress, because
Hard to
it's
do, yeah.
the people on all the extremes
Mhm.
that in some ways block progress with
Mhm.
their taking up airspace with petty
Right.
differences. So that's given me a little flack with one or two groups who think I need to pull their way.
Sure.
And
Sure.
another thing that's important is I don't make the policies of the chamber. I can inform them, but it's actually our board
Right.
that creates the policies that we will hold to, and any positions we take,
Your
things like that.
bylaws, all of it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I,
So yeah.
I'm starting to think about what a counselor once told me: is just get curious with people.
Yeah.
I can be curious about you and not have to own your thing that you're about. It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
We're still connected.
Mhm.
And just to be neutral and curious. And gosh, before the day's over, I might learn something, which is, pretty
Yeah.
important, if you're open and. So here comes the two zingers that I promised at the end of the
Oh,
interview.
awesome.
All right. And you've already answered these, really. Um, who are you, Nancy Olsen, and what do you want?
Who am I?
Who are you?
Well, if you went to my Clifton Strengths Finder report,
Let's do it. Well, let's start there. That's fine.
My top trait, and I've taken it a couple times, and it's consistently been connector.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, it does have some of that, connector people. I like to, oh, you do this, you should meet that person, that kind of
Right.
thing. But the kind of higher level of being a connector is seeing all the dots and figuring out ways to connect them, seeing the bigger picture. I have a strong belief that we're all connected as human beings
Mm-hmm.
in ways that, we think that we're the, alone in whatever, but in reality, we're all just part of a bigger whole.
Yep.
So that's a core value of mine. So that's,
I like that.
I'm
What a
a
perfect job for
connector.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
For that gifting and that penchant.
yeah,
Yeah, good.
there
I
you
like
go.
I like the term rapport architect.
Rapport architect.
Yep.
That's cool. I
Or
haven't heard that one
architect of
before.
rapport if you prefer it the other way.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that a Scottism?
I was labeled that at a tiki bar down in Alameda by my
Oh my
son's
gosh.
young friend. He goes,
There you go.
I'm just talking to everybody, and hey, it's a great night. And we're celebrating, and it wasn't just fine. And Chris goes, hey, Jesse, your dad's an architect of rapport, huh? Jesse had to get that one back to me right away.
I love that. It's very true of you, Scott.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I hope to be that,
Yeah.
live up to that. So future of Humboldt County, just we'll cap off and talk about what would you like to see in the 5 to 10 year window, and both in your reign and your influence, but also
Did you see my reign?
your reign. It's a bit of a reign.
It's like Queen Nancy.
It's fair. How would you see Humboldt, Eureka prosper? What's your vision? I mean, not only what you'd like to see, but maybe some of the challenges too. We can talk.
Yeah. We actually asked our board this in a recent board retreat, and a lot of what we collectively and that I support, I was actually, we were like, if you could get the best possible outcome of where we are as a community and where we're going, um, it was really reflective of the hopes and dreams of our current day, that with offshore wind, that it's successful, that we have more jobs, that our economy is stronger, that there's more housing, there's more healthcare, there's more educational opportunities. So from a tactical perspective, that was a lot of it. And my hope is that, we're in for some challenging growth pains. Let's just start at housing, which every conversation always comes down to housing.
Growth pains. No.
Yeah. But there are ways to effectively manage change that bring people along instead of alienating them.
Right.
And, I'd love to be part of helping make that happen. And it's a lot about communication and listening and sharing out with transparency and such. So I would like to see, so all those tactics and things.
So housing
occur.
Is somewhere at the top of that.
Yeah.
Seems like it.
Yeah. We recently did a poll with our chamber members, and our top 3, housing was number 3 out of, I think we gave them 34, no, not 34, maybe 21 different options. Housing was number 3 in their concerns, and then homelessness was right behind that. So
what was 1 and 2?
Yeah. 1 and 2 were building or attracting and retaining businesses, which, Chamber of Commerce, that's part of our role.
Sure.
And number 2 was healthcare.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
How do we do them all, Nancy? Can you fix those for us this week?
I will do my best. But
wave that rapport wand.
Yeah. And it's, I think, if we can have some influence, it may be, bringing people together, convening people, helping people have conversations.
Yeah.
We had a really cool conversation. We have actually a program called Conversations with Leaders, and it's topical. And we just had one a couple weeks ago about housing. And we had 2 developers. We had 2 people from city and 2 people from county. And we talked about the barriers to progress, what's happening, things like that. And I would like to see, how the chamber can help support conversations like that.
That's good.
On an ongoing basis, and supporting a lot of the conversations that are already happening.
Yeah.
So
Mary Keene was on the show, and she talked about, so she's got one of the most altruistic, amazing projects ever with the We Are Up.
That's beautiful.
Project. It's really neat. And she said there's still people that oppose it, and not in my backyard, folks. And the assumption is there's always going to be haters, and they're not haters, they're people, and they're concerned. So to create a forum in which people can talk about that stuff, what kind of keeps me up at night and niggles in my brain is people that will refuse to move even when all that happens. And it's been explained, and it's a pretty cool thing.
Yeah.
And people go, yeah, no. And they're just that whole shutdown thing. And I guess I'm answering my own question. It honors the process.
Yeah.
Hey, you get to say so, and you get to listen and figure out what's up here.
Yeah.
And still a democracy, and this is the greater good thing. This is helping, say, seniors or special needs people or
Mm-hmm.
homeless. Not necessarily her project in the homeless realm, but it would seem everybody gets to say so, and then we get to vote. We get to make a decision together.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm always bothered by the sense that when I look at Loco and our local, thread, and people just go nuts, and
Yeah.
it's like I'm going to go nuts and oppose everything, and go worse and start name calling, and it's like you are one obstructionist jerk. I was going to use another name, but
I saw what you mouthed.
we're kind of GPG over here.
That's good.
So that always bothers me that there's those folks. And it seems like we're a little famous for that too, that home of the obstructionist SOB kind of person. And it's like, wow, how do we work through that? I guess you've answered that.
Oof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you fix that too?
I will do my best.
Yeah.
But, it's one person at a time sometimes.
I think it's letting people talk and listen, right?
Yeah,
Be
absolutely.
heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it starts there.
I've got a couple conversations coming up like that for me.
Yep.
People who have strong opinions and
want to register.
Yeah, and want to be heard, and and I think you're right that we can only do, we can bring the facts forward, but I actually teach classes on cognitive bias, and we have our confirmation biases. Oh, this doesn't align with my currently held view of the world, so therefore it must be wrong.
Correct.
And a number of other kind of biases that are playing in there, but confirmation bias is kind of the biggest one. And if you can, person by person, get people to understand that we all have biases like that.
Sure.
We all have our worldviews, and we don't want to be wrong. We want to be right and don't want to be proven wrong. It's painful.
It's work.
And it's work. And it's uncomfortable as heck.
Yeah.
But I think that's where we can, move the needle. And
it takes patience.
It does take patience. And then, like we were talking about earlier, sometimes it's just loving each other anyway and just saying, okay, so I'm going to listen to you. What do you think the best version of our community is? And, there are certainly leaders who are good at that, others who are not so good. But, and then where's the middle ground? And what's something that is, how can we move forward? Because people on all sides are keeping us from progressing. And it's, if we want to experience the economic forward movement that we are poised to make, we got to get out of our own way.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it ain't going to happen, peeps. We're already behind the 8 ball on it.
Good point.
And so we need to work together. We all share this space and this reality.
That's some ground to make up and some compromises too. And that's the engine of democracy, I guess. That kind of reflects on Washington, but we're not going to go there because they don't really. Yeah. I found some of that confirmation bias when I was in Boise, Idaho over the weekend.
Oh yeah.
Just in conversations that I heard, it was just it's huge. It's Sacramento. It's just blossomed and kind of not Humboldt. And perfectly cool people that are wonderful. Funny story about Boise. Great people. I mean, almost to the person. Just the Mormon thrift shop to the other people at the bar to going out to eat sushi. Terrible drivers, just crazy rude driving. So you kids, when you go up to Boise, be careful because people just roll through stop signs and it's and somebody explained it this week. They go, well, like 3/4 of them are from California. I go, oh, aha, that's it.
Yeah.
They're California drivers.
Yeah.
So anyway, well, what a delight. Amongst my last questions, how can we make a difference as citizenry, as friends, as people in business, or just folks? What can we do, in your opinion, to leverage the 80-20 rule to do that 20% that will give us an 80% result?
I think one of the things that's really important is being informed
Mm.
and being fully informed. So we, God bless our media. They give
Hmm.
us, pieces of news, but
Yep.
it doesn't give us the full idea of what's happening.
Right.
Step outside your echo chamber, all that kind of thing,
Right.
from whatever perspective you take.
Hmm.
So being informed is really critical. And I think that that's
Mm.
something that we as a chamber are wanting to do.
Yeah.
Share information with our members and with the community
Right.
to, like, hey, this is coming.
Hmm.
We got to be ready. We need to stop bickering.
Hmm.
Um, so what was your question?
So
Because I had
just
so many
community
things.
involvement
Yeah,
going forward.
community involvement.
So not
Yeah.
just information, but across the board,
Yeah.
being informed.
Serve on nonprofit boards and
That's
commissions.
good.
Yeah. That's I'm like putting fingers to myself. Like I said, I am involved in an organization and I'm on a couple committees,
I think
but
you're building your base, and then you can.
I'm
Yeah.
definitely we're building what I hope is going to be a pretty dynamic resource for our community.
Good.
But it's volunteer,
Hmm.
volunteer in something that you're passionate about. There's so many ways to get involved.
Is there ways to volunteer in Humboldt? A
Oh
lot,
gosh,
right?
yeah. Oh gosh, yeah. There's so many terrific organizations. Like
Mm.
we just did a ribbon cutting today with Food for People,
Right.
for example, and they really rely on their volunteer
Hmm.
base. So many organizations do rely on volunteer bases,
Yeah.
but like I said, serve on nonprofit boards. Nonprofits really struggle to get strong board members.
Sure.
If
Especially
you're,
these days, I bet
oh gosh,
people are
yeah,
retracting. And
yep,
Food for People. Let's give them the shout out plug.
yeah,
Zach was just here. Zach Swerdling, the lawyer. They're doing the benefit at the is it the Eagle House?
yeah,
Um, July 7th.
yeah, with Amber Soul playing.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's gonna be a lot of
you gonna be there?
fun. I am hoping to.
Right on. I'm gonna be there.
I was gonna say, you
Should be
got a
fun.
ticket for me, Scott? Just kidding.
Got the hookup. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
he's taken that to that next step.
Yeah.
And I think he's really spearheaded that with all the coordination that takes, because it's not
Yeah.
small.
And I will say Amber Soul, AKA Young and Lovely,
Mhm.
they really impress me. So
Mhm.
shout out to my friends in that group.
Yeah, you know their
Um,
family, right? Do you know
I do. I know
folks?
I know that the two sisters and brother.
Okay.
So and I've met Nate and such, but
Mhm.
what impresses me about
Super
them,
talent.
super talented, like incredibly talented. And they are all people who work in helping professions.
Mhm.
I mean, social workers and,
Right.
things like that. And just really, good quality people
Mhm.
who happen to be super talented and want to,
Right.
be involved in the community that
Oh, they're
way.
great. So fun to watch her. She's can't think of her name, but she's one of the.
Yeah,
Well, they're both
Elle.
great. Which
Yeah.
one?
Elle is kind of the
Elle,
main
yeah.
sister.
Yeah,
So yeah.
she's fun to watch.
Yeah.
So yeah, I really like them, and you just answered the question again. Go out and support local music and
Oh, yeah. There
and
you
art
go. Yeah.
and nonprofit gigs. That hey, it's
Hmm.
$20 a ticket. You're getting a bargain, man. It's $300 to see Neil Young in Portland.
Yep.
What are you even talking about?
Yep.
Plus $5 for the gas. You're getting off pretty good.
Nah, no kidding.
Yeah.
So.
So yeah, I love it.
Yeah, so I mean, because I'm a nonprofit chick by history and
Mhm.
experience, but also I would be remiss to say, shop local.
Yeah.
That's kind of a duh.
Yeah.
That should have been the first out of my mouth,
I'm
but
glad you said that, because
yeah,
local. Let's talk about local before you go.
okay,
And I know that you can't play favorites, but so favorite beach. Let's talk local. This is a new segment. It's going to be great.
oh, my favorite beach.
I need an intro song to that. Da, 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 da,
I
da.
actually love when you're driving out to Petrolia from Ferndale.
Oh,
That stretch of beach that's just this empty,
Mhm.
gorgeous, striking beach.
amazing.
That's probably my favorite beach experience.
Yeah. It's been so long. How about favorite forest?
I love Trillium Falls is one of my favorite
Oh, yeah.
hikes.
Been
I
there.
love Trillium Falls,
Mhm.
and I also love
That's Prairie Creek State Park.
yeah,
Right.
and then Founder's Grove. I just
Mhm.
have a little soft spot. It's not a huge area
Mhm.
or anything, but I just really feel at peace when I'm at Founder's Grove.
Mhm.
Love that area.
I want to ask businesses, but it's like I don't want to, because you have tons of business. You can't favor
That would
anybody.
be a hard one.
Yeah.
But
What's good food in town? You don't have to say where.
you mean like what kind of
Yeah,
good
I
food?
know there's good bagels in town.
There are good bagels. There is great nightlife. There is
Ah,
like increasing nightlife, I
hmm
think, for people who are interested in all kinds of different things.
hmm
Um, Great cocktails, things like that. I don't
there
drink
are.
a lot, but,
Yeah,
a good cocktail is lovely once in a while.
sure.
Um, and, when I came up here from LA, of course, LA food mecca,
Oh yeah.
but I would say that we have some fantastic restaurants that
hmm
rival LA level
Yeah.
dining, and that makes me happy. And
hmm
hopefully a few more will be born in the coming
Yeah.
years.
Yeah. We ate at Larapin last night up in Trinidad, and
I
it
was
was
thinking Larapin.
magical. And the guy goes, I was talking to the wait staff. I go, "Hey, tell the boss we're in Boise, and this couple they've traveled the world. They think it's some of the best food they've ever had." And
Yeah.
he goes, "Dude, we have a guy from French Laundry, and it's Calistoga, I think."
Hmm.
He goes, "He likes it better here."
Oh, wow.
So yeah, we have that treasure trove if one's willing to look.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
really do.
So other favorites, I'll just stop there. There's good coffee, right?
There's good coffee. I would give a shout out to Jitterbean. It's
Yeah.
my family's company, and
Yeah.
I'm super proud of how they've run their
They
business
did
over the
very well.
years.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good family business, and good coffee. We actually drink it at the chamber.
Oh, nice.
So yeah,
Here's a mixed metaphor shout out. And they have Dick Taylor chocolate mochas sometimes during
yes,
the
they
year.
do. They
Very
do.
good.
And well, I will give a shout out to Dick Taylor. They were one of our businesses of the year of 2022.
Right.
So, and well deserved. They are so beloved as a company, and
Yeah,
they've got an incredible story
they do.
as well as fantastic products. So,
Yeah.
shout out to Dick Taylor.
Yeah. The Joe Rogan show just dropped that they'd filmed like 10 years ago. And it was
Oh,
really amazing if you get to see it.
I have not seen that one.
It's not the Joe Rogan Dirty Jobs. It's Joe Rogan after he did Dirty Jobs. It's called You Should Do This Job or something. Anyway, it
Hmm.
was them when they were starting in Almquist Lumber and
Yeah.
small scale, and how they got there is pretty
Yeah.
fascinating. So last question, what would you like your legacy to be?
World peace. Yeah.
What'd you say?
I said world peace.
World peace. Yeah. World peace.
Maybe helping, through the chamber. I would love to, because I plan on being here for a good long time. There was a rumor
Yeah.
going around that I was leaving, which was false. I don't know where it started from, but I heard it from a
You're here
couple different
today. It looks like it's you.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I'm sticking around with the chamber. And
Yeah.
what I hope that my legacy is that we will have helped businesses kind of weather and the community
hmm
weather the storm of change that's coming, and that we've been, a part, because it's going to take all of us, but a
hmm
part of helping us get to the other side of this so that we can
Nice.
experience greater economic prosperity.
hmm
And as a human, I hope that I get to inspire other people to do some good in the world.
Yay.
Yeah.
I think you already have and are. Well,
You're sweet.
I am kind of sweet. Well, thanks for coming, Nancy. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Thanks
Yeah.
so much, Scott. This has been fun.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it again maybe sometime.
Okay.
That's it. Hey, thanks for coming, and hope you have an amazing rest of the week and 4th of July weekend.
Awesome. I sure hope so too.
All
Yeah.
right. Thanks,
Okay.
Nancy.
Thanks.